Hello, I'm going to show you how to do some dodging in an area of a photo to kind of brighten it up. And I'm also going to show you how to adjust the crop of a photo so that it's less crooked. So I'm going to work on that right now. So the first thing when I'm looking at this photo, we see this area right here. It's kind of too dark, but if I'm looking at the whole photo, it kind of looks too dark everywhere. So we need to adjust the exposure of the photo. So what I'm going to do is there's lots of different ways we could do this, but first I'm going to adjust the exposure of the whole photo. So one way we can do that is to go up here to filter. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's go over into this layer. Let's duplicate the layer so that way anything we do is not going to actually affect the original layer. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to right click on that layer and I'm going to go to duplicate layer. I'm going to go okay. It's going to be a background copy. And then this one right here, I'm going to actually work on it. So see if I click on it, you'll see that that is highlighted. So that's what we're going to do. Now that we have a duplicate layer so I don't mess up the actual original layer, I'm going to go up here to filter and I'm going to go to camera raw filter. Camera raw filter. So once I'm in here, all I'm going to do is just adjust this one that says exposure. So I'm going to adjust the whole photo until I kind of see what looks better. And to me, that looks good because we still want the highlights not to be too bright, right? And that's the kind of highlights right in here. So we want a little bit of something in those highlights because if I go too far, they're gonna go too far. So I'm gonna say somewhere around 1.15, 1.15. And then I'm just gonna select OK. Now when I'm looking at this photo, I still see a problem. This area right here is too dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go over here to this tool right here. This is the dodge tool and the burn tool. So I'm going to actually dodge. You could also burn, which means you're going to make an area darker, but I want the dodge tool. And so I'm going to make sure that this layer, the background copy layer, is selected. And then up here, I have the brush selected. I'm somewhere around 400. So right there, it kind of defaults to 412. And right in here, I'm kind of going over. But see, there's different things that you can burn or dodge with. Dodge means that you're going to actually take away the exposure, and it's kind of the mindset of being in a dark room. Okay, so this idea of dodging is dark room terminology, and so it might not make much sense, but basically, in the dark room, on a piece of paper, when you're creating a photo, the area of paper that would get more light would get darker. So we're basically taking away the darkness or dodging the light if we were in a dark room to make that area lighter. So right here, I'm going to make sure that it says range. I'm going to make sure that the shadows is selected. And I'm just going to kind of go over this area. I didn't start doing it yet, but right in here is the area. I might even hit him just a little bit because this in my mind is important, okay? And the shadows need to be brought up a little bit. So I'm just kind of going to go over it, and it's at 50%. And 50% for him looks great. And there. So basically, once I go over that, that's 50%. Now, when I look at it, you can see the difference from this to that. And I can tell that I still need to go over this meat maybe one more time. So this nice artwork, I'm going to go over it. So that's now, if we're thinking in our head, that's basically, I went over it 2 times. So that's like 100% more. And then I might even hit it one more time. There. That looks probably pretty good. Now, if we want to see what that looks like, I can go into the history and I can pull this down and I can see what that looks like before we did anything. And that looks a lot better, correct? So I'm going to keep that right there. Now, the other thing we're going to do with this photo is we're going to adjust it because as you can see, it looks kind of slanted. And so I want to make it a little straighter. And one way we can do that is to go over to this crop tool right here. And I'm simply going to come out of it and I'm going to twist it the way that I want it to go. So I'm going to kind of go this way with it a little bit so it's a little straighter. Looking for something to make it straighter. And I think that's kind of closer. And then what I might have to do, I'm going to make it a little smaller here by going Command Command minus. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of bring that in a little bit like this. Bring that up in here so I don't have the black areas anymore. So I'm cropping some stuff that I might not want to crop, but I think it will make the photo look a little straighter, a little bit better. So let's hit that right there. So I just want to crop it without generating that there. So there you go. That looks a little bit straighter now. And that's how I would adjust this photo, working with the dodging that area right in there, opening up the exposure of everything, dodging that area, and then also turning the crop a little bit so it's a little bit straighter. Except I didn't do that. So let me try that again here. Let's go like that, like that, like that, like that. And then I think I hit enter or hit that little check mark. There. And it's trimming, sizing. It's just doing that to kind of make it a little bit better. But that's it right there. And hopefully that gave you something that will help you out. And I always kind of save it as a JPEG. So right here, I go up in here, File, Save a Copy, go to my downloads, and save that. Okay? There you go.